So today is Holodomor Remembrance Day in Ukraine, and I want to talk about this because it's really important. So I talked about things during my uh, daily brief, and I was going to talk about it there, and then I thought maybe I'll put it into its three big stories, but this really deserves its own attention. So today we honor the memory of the millions of the lives lost in the Holodomor. Now, I don't know that if you're outside of Europe, you really necessarily know, or if you're not of Ukrainian descent, you wouldn't know of the Holodomor. I think most Americans probably they're familiar with the Holocaust, but not the Holodomor. The Holodomor, innocent victims of the Soviet regime's horrific crimes against the Ukrainian people. So, what happened here? If we look this up on Wikipedia, we'll find that the Holodomor, also known as the Ukrainian famine, was a human made famine in Soviet Ukraine from 1932 to 1933, killed millions of Ukrainians. The Holodomor was part of the wider Soviet famine of 1930 to 1933, which affected the major grain producing areas of the Soviet Union. So what effectively happened was that the Soviets were trying to convert to these large farms, these like large cooperative farms, rather than you having your own land and farming. And they forced Ukrainians off their land onto these lands and then made them grow the food and then took all the food, sent it to Russia, and made sure Ukrainians couldn't leave and they stayed there and starved because there was no food. And it's to the tune of millions of human beings that lost their lives by starvation. And in fact, if you look at what it says here about it, it's Holodomor, literally translated from Ukrainian, means death by hunger, or killing hunger, killing by starvation. In English, the Holodomor has also been referred to as the artificial famine because that's what it was. It was artificial. It didn't have to happen. There was this quote here as I was reading about the Holodomor, and again, this deserves far more attention than it gets. Joseph Stalin saying, "Death solves all problems. No human, no problem." Wow. I can't think of a literally, and I'm not using this figuratively, literally more demonic phrase that death solves all problems. No human, no problem. Like, I mean, I'm just beside myself seeing that. And the millions of people. Now, if you wonder why Ukrainians are suspicious of Russians and what Russians might do, think back to the dreadful Holodomor and the memory of that passed down. Then think of how Ukrainians were used and just sent as cannon fodder in World War II by Soviets, or they fought against Soviets as a consequence of the Holodomor, or like now things start to make more sense. We're fighting for a peaceful future for Ukraine in the world. This is the defense of Ukraine saying the goal of Russian occupiers has remained unchanged for centuries: to erase Ukraine from the world map. The Holodomor Memorial Day serves as a stark reminder that the enemy is willing to use any means to achieve its goals. In the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, Russia tried to conceal these mass killings of Ukrainians, burying the truth alongside the victims in mass graves. The current Russian regime is once again weaponizing grain. Like, think about that. They didn't mind starving out the Ukrainians then. They're stopping grain shipments now. Like, what exactly has changed? Threatening hunger not only to Ukraine, but across the globe. We are already holding them accountable. We're fighting for a peaceful future for Ukraine and the world. So this deserves its own special video, this standalone about the Holodomor. By the way, I did this video some time ago. Russians don't believe the Holodomor happened. This was a 1420 video that I'm highlighting where they're talking about, well, so do you know about the Holodomor? Did you like, and here they're asking them, did you, what do you think about the Holodomor? I'm not going to tell you what they said. Please watch that video. Just get a sense of where Russians are in their mentality and what you're actually facing. All right, my friends, thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes and the shares and the subscribes. Please watch this video next. It's all about the Holodomor and the way that the Russians process it. Thank you more than anything for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.